Hello, ladies and gentlemen, financial advisors from around the world. Thank you for joining me. My name is Bill Winterberg of FPPad.com, and I'm broadcasting to you from Atlanta, Georgia. And joining me today on our broadcast is a gentleman by the name of Dan Moisand. Dan is the principal of Moisand Fitzgerald Tamayo, and he's also past president of the Financial Planning Association. Dan, thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Bill.
So Dan, the reason that you and I are connected today is the FPA, the Financial Planning Association, holds a number of conferences throughout the year, and you are the conference task chair for FPA Retreat 2013. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Great. So tell me about some of the volunteer experience, not only the past presidency position that you held, but tell me about the experience of being the chair for FPA Retreat and why you like to volunteer for this event specifically. What do you think advisors who attend Retreat are going to get out of it?
Yeah, Retreat is a unique event. It always has been a very odd mixture of very intense, advanced material from a technical standpoint and out-of-the-box thinking from a non-technical standpoint. It's a place where the art and science is the term we've used to promote the conference for a number of years now. The art and science of financial planning comes together. It's a small conference by design. You know, the national conference is usually a few thousand people. There's a huge exhibit hall. It's the big show. But you know, Retreat's a little bit different. It's a very intimate environment, and you are quite literally spending time hanging out with some of the best financial planners in the world. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that. There's very few opportunities for them to specifically come together for such high-level content. It draws them. They literally do come from all over the globe. We've had guests from Australia, New Zealand, India, South Africa, just about every place you can imagine. If there are financial planners, they at one time or another find their way to Retreat.
Good. Now, how many retreats have you attended throughout your professional career?
Yeah, it's about 12. The first one I attended, I remember quite well because I actually attended as a speaker. I had written this paper about how I was so much of a loser, nobody wanted to be in business with me, and that finding partners was difficult. And I ended up getting the initial call for papers award for that. So the next thing I know, I'm supposed to be presenting this to this audience of super advanced planners. I'm standing next to Harold Evensky and Dick Wagner, two icons of the financial planning world. I'm going, what the heck am I doing here? But it was a remarkable experience because people were very interested in what I had to say, which surprised me. They challenged me in a very positive way on a lot of the things that I was saying about my experience and where I was going with my business. And they were very open at sharing with a complete stranger what was going on in their businesses. And between the very high-level technical content, a lot of the softer side stuff, and just the openness of people there, I was hooked. And I've gone every year since. The only year I didn't make it, I had a really, really good excuse. And you know, I mark off that time every year to be there, as do many other people. And so there's a continuity that goes along with Retreat that's very intriguing to me, and there's always a very healthy population of people that have never been before. And it's really a lot of fun to get to know them and kind of bring them into the club, if you will, of high-level financial planning and get, you know, pick their brains a little bit. And it's always fun to be asked questions about what you think. And the interaction, it's so intimate. It varies so completely different than a lot of other conferences where even though there's thousands of people there, you may never make a meaningful connection.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dan, as the chair of Retreat, you're largely responsible for a lot of things, but one of the primary things you're responsible for is choosing the theme that's going to round out and help complement all of the breakout sessions and the keynote sessions. Walk me through the development of the theme for this year's retreat. What is it, and how has content been built around that theme?
Yeah, the first step in developing the theme was one of pure terror when they told me I had to come up with one, because last year's was wonderful. Trust from the inside out. What a rich topic. And I just spent a little time thinking about it, and the word that kept popping into my head was change. And there's so many angles on change we could have pursued. So when we got the task force together, we talked about change. What is change? Where do we see change? Sometimes it's thrust upon us. Sometimes it's more gradual. Sometimes it's things we initiate. It happens in our personal lives. It happens in the personal lives of our clients. It happens in the economic environment, market environment, tax codes. There's always constant change. And eventually we settled in on change, surviving it, managing it, and creating it. So when we put the call for speakers out, we got inundated with, and it was a wonderful problem to have, literally 15 times as many ideas as we had sessions. So
Great.
I know that the sessions we have are wonderful. They really do attack change from a variety of different angles. Some are very specific and technical, such as planning for same-sex couples. Mm-hmm. Different tax elections you can make in the estate planning process post-death, things like that, very hardcore tax. And then we have other angles on change, from neuroscience to more of the psychological elements of change, helping our clients adjust to change, helping ourselves adjust to change, succession planning. So it's within the practice, it's within the technical, and it's within the clients' lives themselves as well.
Great. Now, you talked about some of those sessions that you're looking forward to, the planning for same-sex couples and some of the more esoteric estate options and discussions around that. Are there any additional sessions that you're really looking forward to, or maybe you were really excited to see that call submission come in and reached out to that person? Walk me through some of those that really make you excited, that are changing and really filling in this theme of change for Retreat 2013.
Yeah, I'm actually more excited about the sessions that are more general in nature than the ones I just mentioned. I mean, they're going to be great, but they're very specific topic oriented, and I'm looking very much forward to understanding the process that my clients go through and that I go through as I'm contemplating change. You just think back to where you were 10 years ago with regard to financial planning. There's a million things that are different, and a lot of that resides in me. Changes that went through over that period of time, and changes I'm going through now, and changes that people who are farther along in their careers are going through. So there's an adjustment process and a thinking process and an emotional process that I'm really interested in learning to get outside perspectives on from outside the financial planning community. So we have a number of PhD psychologists and folks like that are deeply involved in these elements of change, including our opening keynote, Judith Glazer, who's going to talk about the neuroscience of change in a very entertaining way that I think we'll all be able to relate to. There's things going on in the environment generally with the population at large, and I think Bob Powell's session right at the beginning of first breakout session about retirement, what's changing in the minds of the average citizen. He's a writer for Market Watch, which is a Wall Street Journal website, personal finance thing. He is knee-deep in dealing with all sorts of folks from every end of the social economic spectrum and what's on their minds. What are they thinking about their ability to retire and what they're doing and what's available to them and the decisions that they're making. So I'm interested to hear what Bob has to say. I'm interested to hear from Carolyn McClanahan, who's a medical doctor and a certified financial planner, writes a lot about healthcare issues, and she has a brand new bit of information that she's going to talk about the end of life and talk about the ultimate transition. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the things that go along with that, and there's several others. I mean, the whole program is just chock full of really interesting angles on change.
Outstanding, outstanding. Now, perhaps you have some colleagues that are interested in Retreat, but unlike you, they've not been 12 times before. They haven't been at all. What would you say to a colleague who's thinking about going to Retreat? Maybe they're on the fence with registration. What would you say to that new colleague that just is on the fence, and what makes Retreat different? Why is it different? You had alluded to some of the networking opportunities earlier, but what will a new attendee find at Retreat that they're not going to find at some of the other industry events?
I think one of the things that they will find, and they'll find it easier than anywhere else, as far as financial planning related conferences, is they'll find a real friend. I don't know who it is, but they're there. The crowd that comes is there looking specifically to have pretty intimate setting, deep conversations with very high level peers. So if you're ready to take the next step in your career and really get to a whole new level of sophistication and thinking, deep thinking about what you're doing with your clients and how you're doing it, I can't think of any other place that's better to do that than Retreat, because you'll have very close access to the best minds in the business.
Well, that sounds very enticing for me. I know I will be there. I'm actually filling up some of the change topics. I'll be presenting, I think, with Michael Kitsis and Dennis Stearns on some change on how that's going to impact financial planning for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years in the future and beyond. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's the Future Think panel. I was going to mention that, but I didn't want your head to get so swelled.
Yes, thank you for keeping it on the normal level, but I'm going to go ahead and switch over screens here. So we've got some information on Retreat. So if you're watching the screen right now, you can see that there is an early bird registration deadline that is March 22nd of this year. You save $100 if you register it prior to that date. So all the information's right here on the FPA's website at fpanet.org. I'll go ahead and put a link at the bottom of this video on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can easily find that information. So let me throw it back to you, Dan. Is there anything else that you want to add that will complement Retreat for 2013?
Well, I just want to encourage anybody that's thinking about it, just pull the trigger, come on out, experience it for yourself. It may be a very impactful, in a positive way, decision for you to come to Palm Springs. If you come for the first time and you mention this hangout, I'll buy you a beverage of your choice.
I love it. I love the incentive, and I love the promotion, because I think you might get a couple takers there. Be careful what you ask for. You might have to buy the whole round for everybody.
Sure, no problem.
All right, Dan, I've been speaking with Dan Moisand. He's principal of Moisand Fitzgerald Tamayo, and again, past president of the FPA. Dan, thank you so much for walking me through your experience with Retreat and the things that you're looking forward to for Retreat 2013 today.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Stay tuned for the next FPPad On Air broadcast. For now, I'm Bill Winterberg from FPPad.com.